Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So even before my introduction, we'll start with a challenge today.
Okay.
I love challenges. Challenging myself, challenging others. Okay. So in your book or in your mind, you can write down a question. A question which has affected you a lot in your life.
Okay.
Anything which bothers you, anything which answer for the question which you have not received yet, and it's about your personal life, of course.
Okay.
I mean, if it's facts and figures, I'm sure Google is a better place to kind of find out. Okay, but it's something regarding your personal life, a question which so far you have not been able to answer. Okay, so you can write that question down, and these sessions are going to be in a series of 3 sessions where we will try and decode that question.
Okay.
And at the end of it, what you can do is, even the people who are watching me, what you can do is, you got to let me know whether we were able to decode that question of yours or not.
Okay.
Okay? And you can always kind of contact me on this particular number and let me know what I can do more for you.
Okay.
Okay? Alright. So, I hope you already have that question in mind, because I'm pretty sure we carry that all our lives. So
Correct.
that's not even a single part where we haven't missed that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me introduce myself. I am Husain Manjiyani. I came back from United States last year. I was there for almost around 10 years, spending a decade in US, and I with a primary purpose of trying to discover the exact answer to the question which I asked you to ask. That what is that what you would like to get the reply for, the response for. And over the period of time, I studied over there, I trained myself over there, I did my research and development over there, and tried to come up with a system where I am able to kind of come to a conclusion in the least time possible as to what is that we do what we do and why we do that. Okay, so let's say my whole study is basically based on Dr. Hippocrates. Okay. Dr. Hippocrates was he's called father of medicine. In around 460 BC, he is the one who introduced medicine to the world. And his belief was that any time you have a disease or an issue or a problem or a concern, it needs to be addressed at 3 different levels. Okay? So it's going to be a physical level, then you have a spiritual level, and then you have a mental level, at the mind level. Now what is physical level? What is physical level? से आपको किसी तरह का कोई प्रॉब्लम है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसी तरह की कोई आपको बीमारी हुई, राइट? यू गो टू अ डॉक्टर, he gives you the prescription and you buy the medicine, and probably you're all right. Okay, that's doing it physically.
System based.
System based, absolutely. Okay. Then, say for example, somebody who wants to make a career, he goes to school, he goes to college, and he gets a degree, probably gets a job or starts a business, and he has a career, and he's making money. That's doing it physically. Okay. Then there is a second aspect to it, and that is spiritually. That is, we all know, I mean, I'm not going to get into religion and spirituality, but I consider spirituality as, again, a part of religion.
Correct, as a whole.
As you see. So, it's like we all do that. हमने पढ़ाई तो कर ली, बराबर है. उसके बाद में exams दी, and then we also do some puja part, okay, some namaz to basically take care of, and that spiritual part, okay. Sometimes we are in trouble, some kind of disease, some kind of problem. Hello, hi. Some kind of disease, some kind of problem, okay.
I'm leaving at after 4, so don't feel bad.
No problems at all, sir. Thank you so much for coming in. Absolutely no problems. So, then we have the second part, which is spiritual, and in spiritual, we do again, yes, puja part. We do puja part, and we kind of believe in God. Okay, that's spiritual part. Sometimes we do energy healing. That also falls under this. We go to a doctor, and we are only able to cure so much. So we also take spiritual part. That is what. The third part And the most important part is the mental part, is the mind part.
Yes.
Now when we talk about mind, normally what do we think? What is mind about?
Very difficult to define mind, I believe. That's what I read.
Exactly, yes.
It's a bundle of thought and it's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor, it's a bundle of thought. It's very difficult to define.
It might be in a modern context, it may be looked as the software of the brain.
Software of the brain, that's a nice way to put it. Software of the brain, absolutely. So yes, you say that mental part, probably mind, but unfortunately, those are the definitions we have come to the conclusions now. But earlier, if we remember, probably when we started school, all we knew is mind is about school. You go to school, you study, you memorize, and you vomit.
Yes.
Okay? When a child is born, what happens is we try to kind of explain to the child. Initially, he is full of creativity. Okay? He can kind of mix around two concepts so easily, which we cannot even imagine. Okay? Then he's just now full of creativity. What happens? He gets into the school. He gets into the school, and he say there's a drawing class, and he has this paper. He has these colors, those beautiful colors, and he will pick up color and just start drawing anything. Okay. Till a teacher walks in, and teacher says, "Wait, you're going to draw what I'm going to tell you." Okay. And then the teacher goes and draws it. Okay. And the child is thinking that. I don't want to draw that. I want to draw what I like. See, because the child is full of, creativity, energy, enthusiasm, okay? And that's when teacher says, no, you're going to draw exactly what I'm going to tell you, okay? And then still, if the child doesn't understand, he doesn't listen to the teacher, he still draws what he wants to. What happens is, when they all submit their papers, the drawing paper, what does the teacher do? Teacher selects one child who's done the best. What best? The copying.
Copy.
And then teacher says, see, that's a good boy. Now this little child thinks, okay, मुझे वो नहीं मिला. I didn't get that approval from the teacher because she's an authority. Again, my parents taught me that I have to listen to elders. And now I want her approval as well. So slowly, steadily, she lets the creativity, child lets the creativity go away. Yes. And she starts copying. That's how that starts in his life, copying. And he starts copying. So goes in the geography class, copies, imitates. Okay? Everything which is being done, which is being taught. Now why does that happen? Why does that child start copying?
Because it's a mechanical world.
Uh-huh.
That's what Osho said. Let the child grow up by himself.
Correct. Exactly.
It's a need for approval.
It's a need for approval.
Education system is not proper.
Exactly.
I feel.
Yes.
Our Indian.
Yes.
Because right from that age, the child is asked to conform to certain demands.
Exactly. But how does that all start?
Starts with us, the parents, the seniors, elders. Like I believe if we had a school in the open, Rabindranath Tagore, what's the word for it? Gurukul. Right? Where there was no classroom. The children were in the open, enjoying themselves.
Right.
If you want to draw. If you want to run. The children are very happy.
Right. So over there they had like law. They could explore themselves.
Yes.
In those times. Yeah. Now what happens basically? When a child is born, the child is born with three kinds of reactions to life. And probably we have always come across this. The first one is fight. What's the second one? Flight.
Right.
What's the third one?
Freeze.
Perfect.
This.
And this becomes our defense mechanism.
Yes.
Right? Whenever we feel that there is an attack, we are going to have one of these three reactions. Either we fight, we flight, or we freeze. Okay? Simple example of attack is any kind of attack. It might be a financial attack. Say for example, you have a mortgage to pay. Okay, so let's say you have to pay 50,000 as your mortgage, and all you have is 5,000, and date is already there. And now bank starts calling. Now since you already have 5,000, the route which you are going to take is probably flight. Probably you won't be picking up the phone.
Some excuses.
Some excuse, somewhere you are trying to run.
Yeah.
Now say you have 45,000 in your pocket and the mortgage is 50,000. So now you only need 5,000.
Right.
If the bank person calls, you're going to be more confident and you're going to fight it. Hey, I'm going to get, why are you worried? Just one more day. And you can arrange that.
Or trying to negotiate to lower it.
To lower it. Right? So that's what we do.
Fine.
Now there's this another one, freeze. And normally this happens when there's a deadline to meet. Say for a person who's doing a job, right? And say he has to present a project and the project deadline is today. Okay? Now the boss is waiting for him. He cannot say, I'm going to leave my job. Okay? He cannot fly. He cannot fight the boss. So he's basically going to freeze. That I can do nothing about it. These are the basic 3 reactions we give in our life. Okay? Whenever there is a attack. Okay? That's why this is the package we got from the nature whenever there is an attack. Sometimes what happens is, certain people, they feel that everything is an attack. And they continuously get into this mode, fight, flight and freeze. That's when we say they get into something called as SAD. That is stress, anxiety, depression. When they feel that every attack which is happening, everything is happening is an attack. Okay, we won't get into detail of that right now, but this was just to kind of give you an overview. Okay, now this is very, very important. Fight, flight and freeze is very important because evidently from history, it shows that people, the species who has not activated this system or who didn't use this system are extinct.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we definitely need fight, flight and freeze. Okay, only thing is we don't want to overdo it. Okay, besides this, the child is born with 2 kinds of fears. Does anybody know about that?
Yeah, fear of falling.
Falling, absolutely. And
maybe fear of rejection, but that may be developed after.
So it's the other one I'll tell you is going to be loud noise.
Loud?
Loud noise.
Loud noise, yes.
Loud noise. Right? Say you are with your wife. If you just go back a little, you know, when your child was maybe a year old or so, year and a half, when the child started walking. Okay. Say you are watching television. Okay. And you and your wife and your kid is like playing around next to you, and suddenly you realize that the child is not right next to you, and you know where the child went, probably in the kitchen, and now you know that child might harm itself. Okay, so what you do is you don't have enough time to kind of go and get him. So while you're getting up, you're going to give a loud noise, call that name of the child, and the child is going to get basically afraid. Is going to leave whatever it has and is going to come back running to you, hugging, crying, whatever. Okay, so that's how this is basic loud noise. Okay, a child is born with that. Now what happens? Anything besides that, for example, if you take child, that year-old child or 2-year-old child in the garden, or say on the road, a car is coming, it's going to go in front of the car. Okay, if it sees a dog, it's going to touch the dog. Why? Because it does not have any other fear. All those fears are developed by parents.
Condition.
Yeah. Why?
For safety purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because parents tend to think that the defense mechanism which was given by the nature was not enough. We do have to kind of have some more safety measures for our children. Right? So probably for a child, a parent might start, do not talk to strangers. Okay. Now, initially it is only a kind of, a statement for the child that do not talk to strangers. Eventually it becomes the fear of strangers. Okay. Now the child, he goes into the school, he goes into the college, and that fear serves well. because the child is not talking to any strangers and that child is safe. Okay? But what happens when it gets into the job market or business?
Then it becomes a limiting.
Handicap.
Exactly, that becomes a limiting belief. And interestingly, what happens is when a child is out for his profession, whatever profession that child chooses, okay, he won't know why he is not able to perform.
Yes.
He'll go and look at his mark sheets. Oh my God, I'm a topper, and still I'm not able to perform. What's wrong? The child doesn't understand that it's that fear of strangers which is not letting him or her kind of interact. Because see, everybody is a stranger. Like for a few minutes ago, we were stranger to each other.
Yes.
And if we have that fear of stranger, how are we going to deliver whatever we are planning to?
Yes.
So at times what happens is we tend to kind of start building fear. Okay? And these fears are very, very relative in nature.
Yes.
Okay? A child initially doesn't know how to react. Initially how to react to any event. For example, when a child sees, let's say, a cockroach or a mouse, let's say he sees the snake for the first time. Child has never seen it before. What does it do?
They try to catch it.
Touch
Try
it,
to
yeah.
Even before that, even before touching, the child is going to look at the reaction of the authority. How my mom or dad is reacting to that.
Reacting to that, yes.
Okay. Now, if mom is going to be scared of cockroach, and of course snake, we all are scared, then that child is going to register that as danger.
Yes.
Oh, this is dangerous. Okay. But imagine if the child is a Chinese child. What happens to that snake?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Celebration!
Yes.
Let's have snake soup. So it's very relative in nature.
Yes.
Any fear which we are putting in children is very relative in nature. And unfortunately, at times we as parents tend to paralyze the child with unnecessary fears of life.
Yes.
There are certain fears which are not good for safety, and at times you want to kind of unlock that safety band, and we just don't know how.
Correct.
Okay, so many times we will kind of instill the fear. Now what happens while instilling the fear to the advanced level? What happens next? It starts affecting here, and this is self-esteem.
Yeah.
How do we define self-esteem? In simple terms.
Simple term, it's an emotional factor. I mean, it's about, it includes self-image also.
Exactly.
It might be considered as a self-worth the manner.
Self-ideal and self...
Yes. Self-worth, self-concept, self-image, okay, self-esteem. The way we would define as simple as self-esteem is what I think of myself,
Confidence.
what
Estimating
others
our-
think of myself, and what I think of others think of myself. As simple as that, right? And what happens is when a child is asked to not do something, okay, says that you please do not do this. The child doesn't understand in the first time. If that child continues to do it, eventually we as parents start making judgment. You are not good for this. You are not good at that. And that child takes that label for the first time, that I am so and so. Okay, oh, I'm not a good boy. And then relatives enter. And they say, oh, he is not good at this and that. And that adds to the child, yes, I'm not good at that. And the child gets into the school, and now teacher tells, you are not good boy. And the child kind of accepts that label, he's not a good boy. By the time he's around finishing his college, he's starting his college, finishing his school, and starting his college, his self-esteem is at the lowest. Is at the lowest. And at times my clients would ask me, why do teenagers tend to get into alcoholism or cigarette? Why? Now anybody who's in your circle way down when they started smoking, if you know, when you take the puff for the first time, or when your friend took that puff for the first time, what happens?
It's actually telling yourself that you are good. Actually,
No,
internally you are.
First time when you
No,
take the puff
he
for the
hates
first time.
it.
He hates it exactly.
Taste wise, hits it.
Taste wise, it's going to hurt him. He really hates that. Oh my God, kaisa hai, matlab, kaisa taste hai. It's not good. Okay, but he continues. Why?
The other he coughs.
He actually coughs. I've seen my friends coughing. Yes, he coughs. And a bad cough, that's what my friends do. A bad cough. What happens? In spite of knowing कि ये चीज़ अच्छी नहीं है, in the first puff, he's going to take that second puff. Why?
Sort of a rebel.
Because
He's trying to live into an expectation of an adult. Means I would like to be an
an adult, and a step before that, when he's smoking, there's this English saying that the first cigarette is never from your own money. It's always bought by somebody else.
Yes.
And there's one mystical child in that who's already started smoking earlier. He's the one who offers this child, and he smokes. And the moment he takes that first puff, though he's not feeling well, but what happens with the group of friends? What do they do?
He pretends to be fine, darling.
They all clap.
Yes.
They all clap, and this child, oh my God,
Esteem.
his self-esteem, which was
Low.
at the lowest of the low, he suddenly got a boost to the self-esteem. Oh my God, I'm getting that approval from these guys.
Attach that approval to that.
Yes. And that negative thing, which is in his mind, which actually happens through smoking, gets into it as a positive. And he attaches that cigarette to self-esteem,
Yes.
to positivity. Now what happens? He continues, starts, and soon nicotine does its job. Okay? He starts smoking 2 or 3 in a day, 4 in a day, and suddenly he sees that the friends are not approving of him anymore. Like he's not getting that kind of recognition anymore. So what does he do next?
He increases.
Yes. Now I'm going to smoke a pack a day. And all his friends, oh my God, pack a day. Well, he's an adult man. Watch him. And he starts. Sooner he gets into that loop of smoking, a chain smoker, what we call. Okay. And this continues. And suddenly even that recognition stops after a while, because now it's common. He's smoking one every day, 1 pack every day. What's a big deal? What's a big deal? So he's looking for more ways. In the meanwhile, his colleges has started. His college, like senior college, higher college has started. So he starts bunking lectures. Why? Because he wants to look good in front of his friends. And he's a carefree guy. Everything he's doing just because that self-esteem was hurt in such a bad manner, right from the childhood. And he's lost that love for himself. I'll give another example of losing the love for yourself. Say for example, you're not feeling well. Okay, let's say for example, one of your beloved ones, somebody whom you love the most, is not feeling well. What do we do? What do we do?
Take care of them.
Take care of them. How long do you take to take care of them? Let's see, your loved one, he's not feeling well. Say he is really in high fever, cold and cough right now. How long are you going to wait before taking him to the doctor?
Try something to so that.
Are you going to do that immediately, or you're going to take a day or 2 or 3 days?
Couple of days.
Couple of days?
Immediately.
Immediately.
Sometime.
If that person is your loved one, you are going to take care of that immediately. And doctor writes the prescription. Okay. And then how soon are you going to pick up that prescription?
Immediately.
Immediately. Right? Now reflect about yourself. When you fall sick, when you are not feeling well, how long does it take for you to go to the doctor?
I go immediately.
You go immediately, which is good.
Actually, in a reverse way.
Reverse way, exactly. For most people, it's reverse way. And people who love you, they keep on pushing you.
Yes.
Doctor, why is it taking this long?
Yeah.
Because we tend to not love ourselves the way we do to our loved ones. It's all in here. That self-esteem, bachpan say that you are not good for this, you are not good for that, you are not good, you are not good, you are this, you are bad, that adds up, and that's where your child is now. Smoking, bunking colleges, and reaching nowhere in life. Just because he needed that boost from self-esteem, which was supposed to come from
Parents.
some authority.
Parents.
Yeah, from authority.
The biggest authority is parents.
His parents are parents are not only authorities.
Parents are the mainly at fault. They compare your child with other child.
Exactly. And if you ask for child, a parent is not only authority. For them, they are God.
Yes, it's ideal.
They put them on pedestal immediately because they feel that it's basically they are the annadatas for you,
Yes.
right? Eventually, when you get into a job or something like that, your boss becomes your annadata, and then you start kind of submitting yourself to boss.
Yeah.
But initially, it's your parents who will take care of you, and from God.
I'll see your lecture on YouTube.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for coming. So now this child basically he thinks parents as God, and when it comes from authority, that they are saying that I'm not good at something, it means I might not be good at something.
Yeah.
So this keeps on developing. The child keeps on getting low on this lens.
Not only the child starts thinking about it,
Yeah.
he starts living to that diagnosis.
True. And he keeps on proving to others that that's true, that I am not good. And he's going to give you more examples of why I'm not good. Okay, sometimes he ends up becoming a troublemaker, and he proves to people that yes, I'm not good. Right? That is what happens, self-esteem. Now with this self-esteem, there's one more trait which we give to the child. With that low self-esteem, we are gifting one more thing. And this is called agreeableness. How many of you have heard about agreeableness? Agreeableness. A study shows,
They will be conformed to the child.
yes, that
Always in agreement.
always in agreement.
You have to conform, it's a tribe. You have to conform to the tribal norms.
Exactly. Yeah. And this I also called as not Hindustani but Hajistani. People always say Haji, Haji.
Yes,
Everything,
sir.
yes sir, yes sir. And a study has proved now that this agreeableness leads to financial graveyard.
Oh.
If you have this trait on a higher side, then you are sooner or later going to end up financially dismantled, dead. And if you really reflect, people around you, काफी सारे लोग आपको ध्यान में आएंगे जो, oh my God, everything was great about that person, and how come he landed up to bankruptcy? क्या हो गया? Agreeableness. When you keep on saying yes, even when you want to say no. Why this comes? Self-esteem. Approval. Okay? A lot depends on how your family has treated you. A lot depends on how parents have kind of, resolved the conflicts in life. A lot depends on that. If they have taught children that, hey, बड़ों का हमेशा आदर करो, which is good. But to what extent? And then they keep on accepting and agreeing to everything which is being said around, and they end up paralyzing their own selves. That's agreeableness. There's another thing which gets really badly affected is money. Now, interesting thing is all this is happening between the age of 0 to 7. Why this is happening between 0 to 7?
More
Brain
impressionable
is
ages.
developing.
Yes, impressionable ages.
Yes.
Neuron connections are getting.
No.
Correct. Now, what happens is, over here till the age of 7, all the child is doing is just downloading stuff continuously. He's just watching, observing, and kind of, taking it in without any questions asked. That's the way child's mind is. It's not questioning anything in a way. Nothing about rationalization between 0 to 7. So when a child keeps on seeing that the father is really slogging very, very hard for money. He says, "Arey daddy, subah jaate hain and comes late at night." As most of the time he's really tensed. He really feels that life is struggle. If that's how the child is going to see the father, the bright chances that the child is going to go through the same. That's why many times we come across some people in our circle, "Arey, he is like chutki baja ke paise kama leta hai. I don't know how." And yet there are some people who just keep slogging, working hard all through their lives, but they are not able to do anything. They are not able to produce any kind of results in their life.
Yes.
It's because the kind of programming which happens in a child, money is very hard to come.
And they hear all the
All-
words,
Exactly.
same kind.
Mehnat,
It's a hard work. And
hard work. And nowadays, in fact, children go to extent of saying, "Mama, Daddy, I don't want to grow up." Because they feel sheltered with parents and they see parents slogging.
yes.
There's no joy in growing up. That's what children think. There's no joy in growing up. So why to grow up? And that's why many times, in fact, even in the West, people are not ready to kind of, take that first step in life to get independent. They take their own time sometimes. Same over here. Sometimes you'll see people who are 30, 35, 37, and they are still like
Still with the
mama's boy.
Ah.
It's because for them, they've seen life as tough from adults' point of view. They themselves have never experienced it. So it all happens between the 0 to 7 years of age, where we sit in that information that life is very difficult, instead of saying life is joyous. And there's one more thing which happens. Child is emotionally too entangled. There's one thing which gets affected a lot, emotion. And that emotion is very important aspect of life. I remember I went to watch a movie when I was in India. There was this movie, and in those days they used to have those half school boards, half school and all that. So there's this movie which was half school, but half school only for balcony. So we kind of bought that ticket, and I was very young. I wanted to see that movie because it was action movie. So I said, we want to watch this movie. So we bought the ticket for stall. And guess where I was sitting? In the third row, right across the screen. And there was this song which started from, it was Madhuri, I guess. And suddenly this song was so great. When you listen to it, you feel like dancing. I'm watching this song starting, and suddenly I see between me and screens, I see papers flying between me and screen. I'm wondering, why are these papers? What? Who's throwing these papers? And suddenly I see that paper on the floor. When the screen light falls on that floor, and oh my God, this is money. And for that moment, it was a big pause. Because till then, I had always heard from everyone that money is the most important thing. Money is the most important thing. And here I'm seeing that for a song, people are ready to kind of, throw the money. So what is it about this? After a long, long time, I kind of understood that, because then I was very young. And when I got into this field, that's when I came to know that it is not money which is the most important, but that emotion which is the most important part. And when emotion is high, intelligence is
Low.
You go to a spiritual discourse where the person, the preacher, is going to say, everything about religion. He's going to emotionally charge you. And people are really charged, and then he gives charity box. What happens? People start putting the money.
Putting money.
Right. Very same people, if you tell them there's someone in the hospital, just needs 10,000 rupees, is he going to get that help? No. Because when emotion is high, intelligence is low. You sometimes come across this stories in terrorist camps after suicide bombing. You find out that that person who was a suicide bomber was actually a doctor or engineer. And you think, how come he ended up over there?
Emotionally.
Because emotionally is high, intelligence is low. So the most important resource which we have is emotion.
Yes.
Now, when this program is happening, there's one more thing which starts to develop after the age of 7 or age of 8. That's his, you say, rational mind, where he starts questioning. There's a logical mind where he starts questioning. There's willpower. Okay? So, everything which has been programmed over here, at one point of time or the other, the child is going to question that. But at the end, he still succumbs to this. Why? At the end, he's still going to kind of continue with this.
Because that's the foundation on which the child has grown.
Exactly. This is the foundation on which the child has grown, and this is in his, what we call as subconscious. And the conscious mind, now this conscious mind already knows, for example, a person who's smoking, the mind already knows that it's going to cause cancer. But still he's going to continue. So basically this, in the fight of subconscious and conscious, what happens? Who wins?
Mostly
Mostly the subconscious wins.
Yes, because subconscious is large part, 88%.
large.
That's why if you kind of, there are certain like communities, and they say that, you know, when a child is born, when the child is 1 year old, okay, these people from religious faith, they come and tell you, if the child is 1 year old, just give it to us. We will train the child, okay? And we guarantee you that for the rest of their life, the child is never ever going to leave our religion. Because they know this fact.
Yes.
That they know that if once we kind of instill that belief, that's going to stay there forever. No matter how hard the rational mind tries. Now we know there's a lot of programming which is not really good. We already know that. So how do we deprogram that, or how do we reprogram that?
most important.
Most important. Now we already know that, you know, that we cannot continue to live like this. What needs to be done now?
Affirmations.
Well, we need to reprogram. At times you see that affirmations are really good and still they don't work.
Yes.
Most of the times they don't. Why?
Because affirmations and the gap of, if you are not rich and you just say I'm rich, or if your monthly salary is 5,000 and my monthly salary is 1 lakh, like that affirmation, internally you know this is humbug. So
Yes.
that is why it doesn't work.
Right. Basically what needs to be done is, this programming is at subconscious level, right? Okay. When a child is born and say up to 7 years, is basically running most of the times in what we call as alpha, theta and delta level. Have you heard about this before?
Yes.
Alpha, theta and delta level.
Sleep.
Yes, sleep, right? So say right now we are probably at beta, okay, which is 14 and above,
Yeah, we can.
okay? Then between 7.5 to 12.5, or maybe 8 to 12, we call that alpha level.
Yeah.
And you know what time is this, right? Normally, do we
Normally-
experience alpha level?
Yeah, before sleep.
Right. So just before waking up
Yeah, and
just before going to sleep, right? And that is exactly the time when you would mostly listen from your parents that, you know, study or do, you know, puja part. That way you will kind of, you know, retain longer, retain faster. Because mostly when you are at, exactly, mostly when you are at alpha level, you are able to kind of accept everything, because nothing can stop, the conscious mind cannot stop.
Yeah.
Otherwise what happens is, say a child is going to study in the daytime, what kind of thoughts will you get?
All some
अरे इसका बेटा भी तो इतना पढ़ा, क्या हुआ?
conflicting.
Conflicting. हाँ. और उसका बेटा तो मतलब you know he did no good after even studying.
Yes.
So in the morning, all these thoughts. Now the number of thoughts which we have in a day is, now scientists say that it's more than 50,000
Yes.
thoughts in a day, right? And mostly if your thoughts are negative, you end up having a negative life, right? So if you program yourself at alpha level and deeper, will be able to deprogram
Yeah.
most of this, right? And one of the ways is probably going to level, deeper level, right? Counting yourself down to alpha level, okay? And that's how you can kind of reprogram yourself, right? So the key is we got to kind of work on deprogramming ourselves now that we already know. Okay, and we have to practice going to the alpha level, and once again kind of undo what has been done and then design the life again. So I think we are done for as far as I'm concerned, as far as this part is concerned. And this is where we say that this mental part, that mind training is much more than memorizing, and it is this understanding which we need to kind of get our lives in shape. So if you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer. Thank you.